So as you were talking, something that popped in my head is, why do you think that sex is so taboo in the Black community?
Oh, wow. I think a lot of it has to do with, you don't have to justify it to anyone. What would you really be doing right now? A marriage that I didn't think would ever ended, right? And so I had to come to peace with that.
I was shocked and surprised. I had never really thought about that.
People kind of, they want their life to look a certain way to others.
Yes.
Welcome to the Black and Green podcast. It's your go-to place to find the latest high-quality, all-natural products created by Black artisans. Hosted by yours truly, Dr. Kristian H., the founder of Black and Green. We'll discuss all things health, wellness, self-care, and of course, self-love. This podcast features a refreshing lineup of guests, from entrepreneurs and artisans to holistic lifestylists and clean beauty experts, and a plethora of other innovators within the wellness industry. Join me as we learn from the best of the best.
The best of the best. Welcome, guys. Welcome. Barella, if you can introduce yourself.
Absolutely. Hello, Dr. Kristian. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me. My name is Barella Roberson, and I am CEO of Black Alchemy. We are a plant-based sensual wellness brand. We founded in 2023 on Juneteenth, the Blackest Day of the year.
Yes.
And we are at the intersection of clean beauty, melanin skincare, and sensual wellness. In the past, I have worked at many beauty brands in marketing. I've done every aspect of marketing, product development, promotions, and I've worked for brands like NARS, by Madam C.J. Walker. It was a great honor to work on that project. We've won many awards for the packaging redesign that we did. I've also worked with Essie. I've worked on projects for Dove and many other emerging brands, which is what I do now as a consultant. So now, as a consultant, in addition to running Black Alchemy, after obtaining my MBA in sustainability in 2019, I really wanted to continue doing the marketing and branding work that I loved, but I did not want to contribute to adding more toxic materials and ingredients into the world. And so now I really focus on social environmental impact in my work. And in that, I've worked with a lot of Black women-owned clean beauty brands like the Refig, which you and I, we share a friendship with the owner, who's amazing. And I worked for 2 years, I worked on an HIV project. It was for the launch of Apretude, which is the latest innovation in PrEP, which is a drug that you take to prevent HIV infection. And sadly, for Black women, HIV is still the fourth leading cause of death. And so we were tasked with building campaigns that will resonate specifically with Black straight women or Black women who have intimacy with men and queer Black men. And so through that project, I met our founder, Tia Marie, who is also co-founder of Sex Down South, which is an amazing Black femme-centered sexual wellness and education conference. Originally, it's a 3-day conference in Atlanta, and they have since expanded to 1-day conferences around the country. So they've done Miami, Houston is coming up. And so, we just kind of bonded over our love of Black culture and spirituality, Black femininity, the connection of the mind, body, and spirit. We really do think that sensual wellness is wellness, that when we have a healthy and pleasurable sex life, that everything else in our lives is better. And so, we really encourage women, no matter their age, size, sexual orientation, religion, whether they're a parent, whether they don't have any children, all women deserve to have as much pleasure as they can muster and to really understand their bodies, and to kind of think of sex and sexuality and honoring it, and also honoring their bodies, not only in terms of like what they put on their skin and their hair, which we spend a lot of money on those products. Black women consumers spend about $7.5 billion annually on beauty products. So we're already spending the money, and what we want to encourage Black women to do is to spend it with us, spend it with founders and brands that think about us and not think about us as an afterthought after they've been embarrassed in the media about how they don't make products for us, and then they scramble and still get it wrong. And those brands will remain nameless. Buy from us and buy products that are good for you and good for the environment.
Made for you.
And made for you, and also are good for you.
I love that. I love that. So as you were talking, something that popped in my head is, why do you think that sex is so taboo in the Black community?
Oh, wow. I think a lot of it has to do with our culture. We are a very spiritual and religious body, particularly in the United States. We've always been a spiritual people. But us in the Americas, in the diaspora outside of the continent in particular, we are very Christian. And Christianity, from my point of view, is very patriarchal. And so we kind of internalize these messages about the hierarchy of family and the role of the woman in society and in family. And she is of service. She is of service to her children. She is of service to her parents, to her husband. And so when that happens, we kind of, we don't take care of ourselves, and we don't prioritize our own safety, our own wellness, our own well-being. So I think that's part of it. Also, I think, particularly in American culture, Black women have historically been very hypersexualized. And of course, through the trauma of slavery and Jim Crow, our bodies have been commodified. And so we have a different relationship with our bodies than other women do who have not experienced that trauma. And so, there's a disconnect that happens. And then what gets internalized is, I don't deserve to feel as a sexual being because it will be exploited. It will be taken out of context. I will be dehumanized if I do that. And so
they don't feel like they're allowed to do it.
They're not allowed. They're not allowed because that kind of image, that portrayal is already kind of forced upon us anyway. And so a lot of women say, I don't want to be perceived as that. And so I'm not going to outwardly, talk about my desires. I'm not going to outwardly talk about what it is that I'm pursuing, what it is that I enjoy. And the way that shows up in relationships is when you are intimate with a man and you have not taken the time to honor your body and figure out what feels good, then you don't know how to communicate that to your partner. And so you're not getting the pleasure that you deserve. And so the orgasm gap is very real. Only 30% of women who are intimate with men orgasm regularly, and that's super tragic. And one of the things that we want to address with women through our content, through our podcasts, et cetera, is closing the orgasm gap and letting women take ownership of their sexuality and teaching them that, not so much this is your fault, but this is your responsibility. It is your responsibility to understand how to experience pleasure so that you can communicate that to a partner.
Yes. While you were talking, what popped into my head is, how do you take back the power? Because it is our responsibility. How? I often say we often give advice of what you should do or what makes the most sense of it. How do you actually take back the power?
Yes. Well, I've met so many intimacy coaches and sexologists. These are women that are trained in gender studies and sexuality. These are women that hold masters and PhDs that I've interviewed for our podcast, that I've met through our partner. through their relationship with Sex Down South, whether they've taught workshops or they're connected in some other way, including the other founder is actually a sexologist as well, Marla. She's a company called Velvet Lips. And she trains women on, very specific things. And so I think, you go to the source, you want to get bigger and stronger and healthier, then, you hire a nutritionist, you hire a personal trainer. So the same is true for issues related to intimacy. So you go to the source. So what I've learned is that whether it's, having conversations with women who teach burlesque, we don't say stripping, we don't say, dancing nasty, we call it movement medicine because that's what it is. And as a people, we've always been drawn to dance and movement, and it's just a different way of framing it. So a lot of these things, we're just trying to teach women to reframe, what it is that they're already doing. So, and learning how to connect with one's body means that you have to really be in stillness and be at peace with yourself and spend that time alone. And think of those things that we do every day, doing our hair, we spend so much time doing our hair and our makeup and our nails and all of this and slathering all these lotions and potions on our bodies. Take the time while you're doing that to really focus on loving your body and maybe spending a little more time really rubbing that product into your skin and just really trying to love on yourself and then take it from there. But, I highly recommend any woman. And a lot of these issues are rooted in shame and trauma for a lot of Black women. And so that has to be dealt with first because, pain manifests itself in the body. Yeah. So anyone that has chronic pain, a lot of times it's rooted in an emotion that your body doesn't want to deal with, that your brain doesn't want to deal with. So that's the first step is, asking yourself, am I getting the pleasure I deserve? And if not, why is that? Yep. What are those psychological barriers that are keeping me from accessing that pleasure? And so, again, when I talk about Sex Down South and how incredible it is, one of the things that I love is that a lot of these workshops, we're just sitting in a circle and we're just talking about, what was the messages that you learned about sex as a little girl? As, what was your first sexual experience like? What has your sexual life been like with your partners? What has a pattern that has developed that you now see as problematic, right? So a lot of it is cultural, a lot of it is psychological. And so a lot of that work, that unpacking of, of internalized misogyny, internalized racism, all of these messages that we're being told from the outside that we're not worthy self-love, right? So all of that has to be unpacked. It's not about running out to Babeland and getting like 5 vibrators, like that'll help. But, before you even make that decision, you have to first figure out, why is it that you feel the way you do about your body and about your sexuality in the first place? Yes.
I think the core of what you're saying is self-awareness.
Yes.
Is that you have to be very self-aware. And that's a journey. It's a practice.
It's hard.
Self-awareness. But what are some tips and tricks, or not tricks, there ain't no trick to it. What are some tips that have helped you with your self-awareness? For example, for me, I know that my therapist is really important, a really important relationship that me and her have to help me unpack any beliefs I have, to help me understand, why do you think that? Where did that come from? Is it serving you? Is it time to release it? But having a third party who I can kind of talk through these things and help me realize, what are rules that I've created that now I'm living with and taking them as fact when they actually aren't fact. And so that has been a very important piece of my process of trying to get self-awareness.
Yes. It's a great question. So I'm a Scorpio, so we kind of thrive in transformation. And so I've always kind of thought outside the box. I've always kind of grew up in an environment where I didn't really feel like I fit in anywhere. I always kind of felt like the weirdo in my family, at school, wherever, my neighborhood. And so I never really felt like I fit in anyway. And so and there have been moments, points in my life, I think as an adult, after my divorce, I really stopped and said, and it doesn't have to always be after something that, huge or traumatic. But for me, at that point, I said, okay, you have a clean slate now, and you can really do whatever you want with your life. And what does that look like? And how did you get here? Right? I had to be really honest about how I got to where I was, getting a marriage that I didn't think would ever ended. Right. And so I had to come to peace with that, with, how I contributed to that, how that person contributed to it. And so then I started to really think about like, okay, so, what along the way of your path led you kind of astray? And what I concluded was that, even though I've kind of always been an oddball, and there's certain, in terms of things that I'm interested in, but not necessarily my path, I still kind of had it grilled into me. You're going to go to college. You're going to possibly go to grad school. You're going to work some, horrible corporate job that you're going to hate, but it's going to be good for you. You're going to, marry a man. You're going to have a child. You're going to have the station wagon and the brownstone. And I did all of that, and I was miserable.
Yeah. So oh my gosh, you're telling my exact story.
So how did that happen? You know what I mean? Where did I go astray? And there are all these expectations from family, from society. You go to certain schools, people expect you to have a certain path. Yep. And then when particularly when I got to corporate beauty and experienced so much like bullying from white women, I was like, well, this is not it. Like I can't do this, So now what? Because I thought I chose like the perfect career and it's not working. I thought I chose a really great guy and it's not working. You know what I mean? And so I really had to kind of, say, okay, what is it that you really, really, really want?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Forget about, if you didn't have to answer for it, you didn't have to answer any questions.
You have to justify it.
Yeah. You don't have to justify it to anyone. What would you really be doing right now? And I really had to conclude like today in the year of our Lord 2024, what all I really want to do for real is take care of my son, make beautiful, cool things, support women and people of color and people with disabilities, all the marginalized communities that I love, queer people, travel, eat great food, and have a lot of sex. That's literally all I want to do.
Yeah.
And so how do I make that happen? Now, notice I didn't say anything about making money, which I definitely want to do. But it's not, I feel like people kind of, they want their life to look a certain way to others, they focus on, well, let me just like work this job that I hate, but then I'm going to get the house and the car and the labels and the watch, and I'm going to be seen in all these places, but they're not happy. I know so many people who on the outside should be ecstatic and they're not.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Okay. We're going to pause for meditation. Then we come back. We're going to talk about happiness.
Okay.
There you go.
So whether you're listening to this podcast as you're walking down the street or in your car, in your home, or in your bed, just want you to find a comfortable position where you can relax and take focus on what's happening right now. And as we do this, I want you to focus on your breath, focusing on the fact that your answers are always in your breath. Feeling your breath, not judging it, but experiencing what it feels like. If you're able to, you can close your eyes. If not, just keep your focus. Notice where your breath is racing through. Where are you trying to meet so many deadlines in life? Notice where your breath is moving in the same cycle or feeling stuck. Where are you in destructive cycles in life? Where are you not changing the script, but only changing the characters in the play? Just take a moment and notice what your breath feels like and how it relates to your life. Deep breath in. And as you exhale, let everything go that's not serving you. Reminding yourself that you can keep anything that you want to keep. You can let go of anything you want to let go of. But honoring your truth in this breath. As you're breathing in, you're creating. As you're breathing out, you're creating space for what it is that you desire. little by little letting go of what's not serving you, and honoring the spaces that ask you to hold on at this moment, taking your time and being present. Continuing this breath until you feel like you've let go of everything that's standing in the way of creating what you desire. And as you feel like you've let everything go, bring the awareness back into your body, back into the space of wholeness, come back into the space of truth, and move forward, knowing that you're whole always, and that you are the one that you've been looking for.
That was nice.
Yes. Enjoyable moment to just pause and just force myself to pause when I don't want to. When I'm fighting against pausing.
Yes.
Sometimes it's good to require myself to pause.
Yeah.
I want to kind of unpack and talk through, because I found myself in the same mindset. And divorce was also the same thing that helped me shift. That I was trying to live my life what I thought everyone wanted to see, what I was supposed to do. And I had bought into the mindset, if I do all those things, then I will be happy. And I was miserable. I was like, ooh.
This ain't it.
Ooh, but this is what you said you wanted. But I didn't.
This what you said you wanted.
This what you thought you wanted. Like, come on, girl, what's happening here?
And there must be something wrong with you. You're unappreciative.
Yep.
You're not present. You know, all of those things. Yeah.
You start
blaming
yourself.
The shame.
Yeah. And I think I went through this whole process that, okay, Kristian, what do you actually want? What makes you actually happy? And I was shocked and surprised. I had never really thought about that. Mm-hmm. And so I encourage everyone, please figure out what makes you happy. Traveling makes me happy. Traveling new food from different places makes me happy. Spending time with my friends makes me happy. Sitting down and having a long conversation makes me happy. Having a whole bunch of sex and orgasm multiple times makes me happy.
Hey.
These are the things that make me happy. Yeah. And I have to know that. And be very intentional about getting that.
And unapologetic about it.
Unapologetic. And so I think I just want us to normalize your happiness. Your happiness is normalized. Like, and figure out what that means. Because what makes me happy may not make you happy. Yes. And you may not know yet. And so try things out. Say, oh, I thought this was going to make me happy. I ain't like that. Oh, I thought this. I ain't like that. Ooh, I'm surprised by this. This thing popped up that makes me happy. So you have to try to develop your happiness jar, your things that you know bring you joy. I have a physical happiness jar I created. Now, whenever I'm feeling down, I go pull something out my happiness jar to go do. Oh, Kristian, go take a walk. Okay, Kristian, go work out. Call and talk to a friend. I have things I know fill me up. And so when I'm feeling depleted, let me go pull something from my jar to pour back into myself.
Yes. And I think, I think it's very typical that we as adults, it's so funny, when you're a kid, you can't wait to become an adult because you think it means all this freedom and you get to I get to eat Cheetos at 3 a.m. and nobody can tell me I can't. And yes, that is what's fun about being an adult. But I think it's very easy to get bogged down in the mundane reality of getting up, going to work, paying the bills, and it's, yes, you have to do all of those things. But okay, you're going to the grocery store, buy food that you actually want to eat. Yes. You know what I mean?
It's actually good for your body.
Yeah, take that vacation. If you're not a gym person, but you need to work out, take a dance class, take a boxing class. Become a bird watcher, and then you'll spend your weekends walking through the woods. Hey, that's cardio. Find something that works for you. If you're not a runner, don't run.
I want to pause there. If you're not a runner, don't run.
That's it.
You have to move your body. So find a way to do that. That's enjoyable.
That's
If
it.
running's not the thing for you, then don't run. Swimming is not my thing. One of my friends loves to swim. I try to go swim with her to be supportive. Your girl got in that water.
Wasn't for you.
Halfway to 11 said, this ain't for me.
And that's okay. Dance will be your thing. You know what I mean? Whatever it is, you can find, there's so many ways to move your body.
Exactly.
You don't have to follow the trend. Oh, everybody's doing Pilates now. Pilates might be too difficult for you at your level of fitness. You might have to do something else, and that's okay. The point is, find something that works for you.
Yes.
And I think a lot of us are, our world is getting bigger, with TikTok really expanded my world because, just reading and listening to literally thousands and thousands of women talk about the same things that I experienced with men, trying to date men, you know what I mean? All of these things that all these terms like compulsory heterosexuality, weaponized incompetence. I didn't have a language for what I was experiencing trying to date these men out here. You know what I mean? And I think that, one of the weapons of misogyny and the patriarchy has been shaming women into not sharing their experiences and making us feel like we're the only ones going through something. And so therefore it must be our fault. Yes. We picked the wrong guy. We didn't respond to something in a manner that we should have. We allowed, men to treat us certain ways. It's never the man's fault for how he treated you. It's your fault because you chose him and you put yourself in that position, right? Yeah. And so I think part of the empowerment process is, yes, being honest about how you, got yourself into a situation.
Yes, you are also part of it.
Yes, but it also means that when that situation isn't for you, you exit stage left quickly and you block and delete, right? Yes. And you learn how to honor yourself.
Yes. You want to be, I always say you want to be quick to fire. Quick to fire and slow to hire.
That's it. And people ask me all the time, well, what happens when a dude like spins the block 6 months later too? Baby, they can't find me.
Right.
They don't have access. Mm-hmm. You have to revoke access. You have to think of yourself, just put this, force field of protection around yourself. Yep. And you do not allow anyone to come to have access to you that will bring you harm. And that's it. Once you figure out who they are, believe them and move accordingly. And that has been a saving grace for me.
Believe them and move accordingly. So my husband now, I met on Tinder. And I think I did amazing well on Tinder because I knew exactly what I wanted. So I knew an exact question to ask, and I was able to go through folks quickly without wasting a lot of time. I asked you my key question. Nope, wrong answer. Nope, wrong answer. Nope, wrong answer. Yes. So it allowed me, because I knew what he looked like. And so I just had to find him. I wasn't going to let you slow me down. So, but you have to know what he looks like. But that takes time. You have to know yourself first.
You have to know yourself and know what you want.
You can't know what he looks like if you don't know you. Step one is to know you. Once you know you, okay, what would a partner look good for me? Mm-hmm. And do I even want a partner, or do I want to be alone? Because that's okay too. I think we normalize having to get married and having to have kids. That ain't for everybody, and it may not be for you.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's really important. I know so many people, and I've inspired so many women, to kind of really look at those relationships that they're in, or the types of dynamics. Not just, it's not just about, what would be the ideal mate, but what is the ideal relationship dynamic? I'm in a relationship right now with a man who I see, once every 2 weeks. He does not blow me up, good morning, beautiful every morning, because I don't need that, But when we are together, he gives me his undivided attention. I have never seen him pick up the phone when he's with me. Yep. We have a great time. He looks me in the eye when he talks to me. He treats me with respect. He's totally obsessed with me. And that works for me. You know what I mean? We're not talking about marriage. Baby shop been closed. You know what I mean? So we are on the same page in terms of the dynamic that we want. So yes, he is a person, you know what I mean? Yeah. But it's that and the fact that our dynamic works. And so I'm not trying to force a relationship style, because our relationships are relationship. It's not like, oh, well, he's still dating other people and you're still dating other people. You're not really in a relationship. We are in a relationship. We're just not in a monogamous one. You know what I mean? But it is still a relationship.
Yeah.
And so I think it's, and non-monogamy isn't for everyone. I don't encourage people to explore that if they think that, they should be with one person and they can find all the things that they want in one person. Great. You know what I mean? That wasn't my experience. That is not my experience, but I don't knock it. You know what I mean? But you have to be open to the possibility that maybe you will discover something about yourself and discover a dynamic that you didn't know would work. And the other thing is, particularly for Black women, are the most race loyal demographic as well. And and it's a numbers game. I keep telling women it's a numbers game. It's not that I don't love Black men. It's just that what I'm looking for, I don't find in a lot of Black men. And I live in New York City and there's a lot of non-Black men who are falling over themselves to date me. And so I'm open to that. You know what I mean? And as long as they meet my other criteria, and they do not demonstrate anti-Blackness, it's game. You know what I mean? And so I really want Black women to break away from, these fear tactics that the church and our families and our culture kind of put on us. That, like, nobody else wants you but these men. You know what I mean? You're going to die alone with 15 cats. You're going to be a single mom forever and nobody's going to want you. Like, all of those things are lies. I was terrified when I first started dating because I was like, nobody's going to want a 40-something Black woman with a kid in tow. That has not been my experience whatsoever. I've dated men who have children. I've dated men who have not had children. And they don't care. You know what I mean? They're dating me. They're not dating my child. You know what I mean?
I think that's a really good point. We tell ourselves these narratives,
absolutely,
these false truths, and we live in these
not
lies,
real,
thinking they are reality when they really aren't reality. And so take a step back and ask yourself, what false truths am I telling myself?
Yes.
What trauma am I wearing that actually could be not as heavy as I think it is? So just take your power back. You have the power to decide what you want, what's going to look like, exactly how you're going to live. You have the power.
It's your life.
Your thoughts become your reality. So whatever you think will happen, exactly what's going to happen.
Absolutely.
So where are you spending your brain power? Are you staying in the dump? Are you always down? Are you frustrated? Are you mad? Are you angry? Then that's what you're going to attract. Elevate it up. Think higher, and be in the more forgiveness, be in the more abundance mindset, and then that's what you're going to attract. So your thoughts become your reality.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I definitely went through a phase where I was really angry about how I allowed myself to be treated. And I think that I just allowed myself to sit in that anger because, again, anger can manifest itself in pain and all kinds of illness in your body. And so I wanted to sit in that and feel that and give myself permission to go through that. But then I wanted to move forward because I didn't want it to eat me up. And so I said, okay, you're going to forgive yourself for what you allowed. And now that you know what to look for, now that you're confident in the fact that, like, you may never find that person. You know what I mean? But you still have. And the other thing is, I want women to decenter romantic love because love is everywhere. I have so much love in my life, so much love that if I'm in a period where I'm not experiencing romantic love in that moment, it doesn't mean that I'm not experiencing love. You can have love for a passion project that you're working on. You can have love for anything really, you know what I mean? Like, you can take a French pastry making class and then all of a sudden you love making croissants for your friends and your neighbors. Friendships are really important to women. You know what I mean? Love on your friends. You know what I mean? I don't wait for people to take me to do something. If I want to go to a movie, a restaurant, I want to visit a country, I go. I travel alone. I do everything alone. Because you have to learn how to be at peace with yourself and enjoy your own company. And because being alone does not mean being lonely. Because you can be lonely in a relationship. I've never been more lonely than in a relationship. It's so much worse than being alone.
Yes.
So that, I really want to encourage women, and especially Black women, to just not believe these lies that we've been fed our entire lives about what it is that we're supposed to be doing, what kind of relationship we're supposed to be in, Because it's a big commitment. Because for women, when we take on these relationships and we've got the kids and we got to take care of the parents and we got to do all of these things, it is labor intensive. Men want us in our lives for our labor, for our emotional labor, our physical labor, our bodies, our energy. They harvest our energy. They need it. And so they don't understand why, when we're alone, when we say that we're happy, because they drain our life force. And this is why unmarried, childless women live longer and are happier than anyone else. This is why married men live longer and are happier than single men, because they harvest our energy. They need our labor. They need our energy. They need our bodies, but the reverse is not true. So I want women to really understand their life force energy. And part of that life force energy is erotic energy. When men are attracted to us, when they crave us, they are craving that life force energy. They don't realize that's what's happening, but that's what it is. You know what I mean? That's what they crave. That's what they smell. That's what they taste. And we don't really kind of get that because we've been taught to believe that we're the weaker, lesser sex, that we come from their rib. How do we come from their rib when every female in every species is the creator, but the supreme creator, we use male pronouns? It doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. So we just have to remember that we are inherently powerful. We are inherently life force energy because our bodies are literal portals of life.
Yes.
It's a beautiful thing. Even if you have never had a child, you still have the capacity to bring forth life and to nurture life. Every species on the planet, the young is following the mother. Why? Because we are the actual leaders. And men created, big surprise, whole systems and frames of thought and cultures and societies and religions that, surprise, put them at the top. When we're the ones that create and teach. Right? So I just want women to really, and I'm not saying throw your Bible away. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying to really reframe femininity for you and reframe the way you think about yourself so that you are able to think of yourself as powerful, think of yourself as deserving of everything that you're supposed to experience as a human being.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think the core here is that you just are powerful.
Yes.
And men have used, people have used, because sometimes women buy into the things that they
Absolutely. Internalized misogyny is a thing. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so they have created a reality when we think we don't have power. But the second you realize that you do, it's a game changer.
It changes everything. 100%. 100%. It's like a light bulb goes off and you can't unsee it. You cannot go back.
Yes.
Go back.
It's a complete game changer. And the beauty is, I think the core here is the self-awareness. Know what you need, know what you want, require you to have that stuff around you, require anybody who's in your life meets your needs. If they don't, they can exit stage left. Know exactly what you need and make everyone meet, if not exceed your standards. And if they don't,
yes, and the power of letting go. I mean, I think, again, I'm a Scorpio, so I get really intense and I get really, I don't do anything unless I'm going to commit 100%. So if I'm committing, to trying to work it out with someone, whether it's a friendship, a business partner, a romantic relationship, a job, whatever it is, and it doesn't work out, I go through this really intense period of mourning because I put so much energy into it and it feels like it was for naught. But what you have to remember, but one thing that I've learned, and again, you don't learn this until you're older. I'll be 49 in November. And once you get older and you kind of go through these cycles, that's when it really hits that everything that I tried to hold on to, a job, a relationship, whatever it is, that didn't work out, something better came. Maybe not immediately, but eventually something better came. Something that I deserved better came along. And so if you are holding on to something that is not serving you, you're only harming yourself and you're only keeping the thing that you deserve farther away. That's all you're doing.
Yes.
And so a lot of times, especially in relationships, we're like, well, if I give up on this man, all this time and energy and everything that I've invested will be for naught. And I'm never going to find, another situation like this. It's not true. And as a matter of fact, it's even better to not be in a situation that's not serving you. Even if you're not immediately in something that is, it's better to not be in that's not working than to be in something that's not working.
Yes. And I want us to change our relationship with the timing of things. You are always learning.
Always learning.
If you're in a relationship for a couple of years, and you learn this about yourself, you learn this about yourself, you learn this about yourself, and the more you learn, I thought they were my partner, but after knowing myself more after these 2 years, I really learned that they aren't. You can release it, and now you can find someone else who better matches up with what you know now. You have to give yourself space to do that.
Yes, and as my partner says, getting older, you're a better editor. You're a much better editor, and you don't have to wait 6 months, 2 years, to figure out that something's not going to work. You know what I mean? You cannot ignore those red flags. And women, again, are trained to put our feelings aside, to be polite, to be nice, to be supportive at our own expense, right? Mm-hmm. And that's how we end up with autoimmune diseases. That's how we end up with the gray hair and the wrinkles. You know what I mean? People ask me all the time, what do you do? How do you look so young? I do what the hell I want to do.
Yes, I take care of myself.
Yeah, I do. I only do things that serve me. Yeah, that's it.
Yes, yeah. Oh, I'm going to end there. I only do things that serve me.
That's it.
I want you guys to all think about what serves you, and are you doing enough of that? Are you doing things that don't serve you? Is it time to release them? I only do things that serve me, and you can look at it's amazing when you're 49 like she does.
Thank you, girl.
Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much. This has been such a fun conversation.
Yes, this was amazing. I can't think I can